I got a bank notification asking me to pay monthly installments on an $800K loan. Shocked, I told them I never applied for one. After investigating, I found out my sister had used my details to buy a house. On her grand housewarming day, she saw me already inside. When she asked how I got in, I laughed and pointed to the bank officer. Her face instantly turned pale. I'm Amanda Walker, 29, and I've always prided myself on my perfect credit score. So when my phone pinged with a bank notification about an $800,000 loan payment due, my heart nearly stopped. This had to be a mistake. The customer service representative confirmed a loan was processed in my name, with all my personal details. When he mentioned the property address, a chill ran down my spine. That neighborhood. That was where my sister Rachel was house hunting. If you're watching this, please hit like and subscribe. And let me know where you're tuning in from. You won't believe how I turned the tables on the most shocking betrayal of my life. Before that fateful notification changed everything, my life in Chicago was exactly as I'd planned it. After graduating with honors in finance from Northwestern, I landed a job at Meridian Financial Partners, one of the most prestigious firms in the Midwest. Over 6 years, I worked my way up from junior analyst to senior financial advisor, managing portfolios for high net worth clients. My apartment wasn't fancy, a one-bedroom in Lincoln Park, but it was mine, and I decorated it carefully, saving up for each piece of furniture rather than going into debt. My parents, Margaret and Richard Walker, had always emphasized financial responsibility, especially after they struggled early in their marriage. Live within your means, my dad would say, and I took that advice to heart. My relationship with my parents was solid. Sunday dinners at their suburban home were a ritual, with mom always making too much food and sending me home with leftovers. Richard would talk investments with me, proud that I'd followed in his financial footsteps after his retirement from banking. Then there was Rachel, my older sister by 3 years. Our relationship was complicated. From the outside, we looked close enough. We showed up at family events, exchanged birthday gifts, and maintained the appearance of sisterly affection. But underneath ran currents of tension that had existed since childhood. Rachel was always the beautiful one, with our mother's striking blue eyes and natural blonde hair. I took after our father, practical, analytical, with unremarkable brown hair and eyes. While I excelled academically, Rachel charmed her way through life, her magnetic personality opening doors that my studiousness couldn't. Rachel could sell ice to Eskimos. Our grandmother used to say admiringly. And it was true. My sister had an uncanny eye to get what she wanted, whether it was the last cookie, the lead in the school play, or our parents' attention. The pattern started early. When I was 6, I received a limited edition Barbie for my birthday. The one item I'd circled in the catalog and dreamed about for months. 2 days later, I found it in Rachel's room, its haircut and clothes missing. When I complained to our parents, Rachel cried and said I had given it to her, then changed my mind. Be generous with your sister, Mom said, wiping Rachel's crocodile tears. I learned then that evidence and truth mattered less than perception and emotion. At least where Rachel was concerned. As we grew older, the taking evolved. In high school, she borrowed my clothes without asking, returning them stained or stretched. In college, she used my student ID to attend campus events when she lost privileges due to an incident at a frat party. After graduation, she, accidentally, used my credit card information saved on our shared family Amazon account for a shopping spree. Each time, there was an excuse, an apology that sounded sincere, and a promise it would never happen again. And each time, I forgave her because that's what family does, right? Despite these irritations, I maintained boundaries. I never shared my passwords, kept important documents in a locked file cabinet, and monitored my credit regularly. I thought I was being careful enough. While Rachel jumped from job to job, real estate agent, marketing coordinator, personal shopper, I built my career methodically. She married Brandon Phillips, a commercial developer, in a lavish wedding that our parents helped finance despite their limited retirement savings. I remained single until meeting Daniel Thompson at a charity fundraiser 2 years ago. Daniel was different from the men I'd dated before. Thoughtful, secure in himself, and genuinely kind. As a pediatric physical therapist, he approached life with both compassion and practicality. He understood my careful approach to finances and shared similar values, though he was more spontaneous than I would ever be. You balance me, he'd say, pulling me away from my spreadsheets to watch a sunset or try a new restaurant. With my career on solid ground and our relationship deepening, I had started planning for my next goal, home ownership. For 3 years I'd been saving aggressively for a down payment, skipping vacations and shopping sprees. My recent promotion and bonus put me within reach of my target. Daniel and I had started casually looking at condos, though we were taking things slow. The Friday before the bank notification, we'd celebrated my upcoming 30th birthday with a small dinner party at my apartment. Rachel and Brandon came, bringing an expensive bottle of champagne and a card that read, "To new beginnings." I remember Rachel hugging me unusually tight, whispering, "Everything's gonna change soon, sis." I thought she was referring to my birthday milestone, or perhaps knew about Daniel's hints regarding a future proposal. If only I'd known what she really meant. The notification came on a Tuesday morning, while I was preparing for a client meeting. The banking app on my phone chimed with what I initially assumed was my regular account alert. Instead, the message froze me in place, Your monthly payment of 4,267.89 for loan number 4582937 is due in 7 days. I blinked, certain was an error. I had a small car loan and a modest credit card balance, both of which I paid religiously. But nothing remotely approaching a payment that size. With trembling fingers, I called the bank's customer service number. Good morning, Northeast Federal. This is Gregory Thompson. How may I assist you today? The representative's voice was professionally cheerful. Hi. I just received a notification about a loan payment, but I think there's been a mistake. I don't have any loans of this size. I tried to keep my voice steady as I explained the situation. I'd be happy to look into that for you. Should I have your name and the last 4 digits of your social security number for verification? After confirming my identity, Mr. Thompson pulled up my account information. The pause before he spoke sent warning signals through my body. Ms. Walker, according to our records, you initiated a home loan in the amount of $800,000 approximately 6 weeks ago. The property is located at fee 42 Lakeview Terrace. The loan was approved based on your credit history, income verification, and the appraisal of the property. Then my stomach dropped. That's impossible. I never applied for any home loan, especially not for $800,000. And I don't know anything about a property on Lakeview Terrace. I understand your concern, Ms. Walker. This is a serious matter. Looking at the application, it appears to have been submitted online with all your personal information, including your social security number, employment details and electronic signature. My mind raced. Identity theft. It had to be. But who would have access to so much of my personal information? I need to dispute this immediately, I said, my financial training kicking in. This is fraud. Son, Mr. Thompson's tone shifted to one of concern. In that case, I'll transfer you to our fraud department right away. They'll walk you through the process of filing a claim and placing a freeze on any further activity. The next 2 hours disappeared into a bureaucratic maze as I spoke with the fraud department, filed reports, and scheduled an in-person appointment at the bank for the following day. The meeting would cause me to miss an important client presentation, but my entire financial future was at stake. That evening, I pulled my credit reports from all 3 bureaus. What I found sent waves of nausea through me. Not only was there an $800,000 mortgage in my name, but 3 new credit cards had been opened in the past month with combined balances of over $50,000. Purchases included furniture, appliances and high-end electronics. The address listed for all these accounts was 1542 Lakeview Terrace, a property I'd never seen in an upscale neighborhood north of the city. With shaking hands, I typed the address into Google Maps. The street view showed a beautiful colonial-style home with a manicured lawn and circular driveway. I zoomed out to see the neighborhood and felt my chest tighten. This was Lakeside Heights, an exclusive community where homes started at $1 million. Rachel had mentioned this area repeatedly over the past year, sighing over real estate listings and dragging me to an open house there last summer. Someday, she'd said, gazing longingly at a similar colonial, I'll live in a house like this. A terrible suspicion formed in my mind. I called Rachel immediately, but the call went straight to voicemail. I sent a text, need to talk to you ASP. It's important. No response. Next, I called my parents. Mom, has Rachel mentioned buying a new house recently? My mother hesitated just a fraction too long. Why do you ask, dear? Hey, Mom, please. This is important, she sighed. Well, yes. She and Brandon just bought a beautiful place in Lakeside Heights. They're very excited. They're having a housewarming party this Saturday. I thought you knew. Didn't you get the invitation? And my blood ran cold. What's the address? Let me check the invitation, 1542 Lakeview Terrace. Amanda, what's going on? She asked. You sound strange. I couldn't bring myself to explain the situation to my mother yet. Not until I had all the facts. I'll call you back, Mom. I need to check something. After hanging up, I searched my email and found the digital invitation from Rachel, sent 3 days ago and buried under work messages. The subject line read, Our dream home housewarming, with an animated gif of champagne glasses clinking. I hadn't opened it, assuming it was just another of Rachel's extravagant parties. The invitation confirmed my worst fears. Rachel and Brandon were hosting a housewarming at 1542 Lakeview Terrace, the address on the fraudulent loan in my name. Sleep was impossible that night. I researched identity theft laws, penalties for mortgage fraud, and how to protect myself from further damage. The more I learned, the more devastated I became. This wasn't just about money. This was a betrayal so profound it made me physically ill. By morning, one question burned in my mind. How could my own sister do this to me? The meeting at Northeast Federal Bank the next day confirmed my worst suspicions. I sat across from Mr. Thompson and colleague from the Fraud Investigation Unit, Martha Reyes, as they spread documents across the conference table. Ms. Walker, these are copies of the loan application submitted in your name. Martha said, sliding several papers toward me. Do you recognize the signature? I examined the electronic signature. It was close to mine, but with subtle differences. The loop on the A was too rounded, the cross on the T too long. This isn't my signature, I said, but someone tried to make it look like mine. This is the identification provided during the online verification process. She continued, showing me a scan of my driver's license. My stomach lurched. It was indeed my license. The same one I'd reported missing 3 months ago after a dinner with Rachel. I'd assumed it fell out of my wallet at the restaurant. Someone would need extensive personal information to complete this application, Mr. Thompson explained. Your social security number, employment history, tax returns, bank statements. My sister would have access to most of that, I said quietly. We grew up in the same house. She knows my birthday, my mother's maiden name, probably even my first pet's name for security questions. And she's been to my apartment countless times. Martha nodded sympathetically. Family fraud is unfortunately common, though usually not at this scale. Do you have any proof your sister is behind this specifically? Not yet, but I'm working on it. After leaving the bank, I called the private investigator Daniel had recommended. Former client of his who owed him a favor. Maxwell Jenkins agreed to look into Rachel and Brandon's finances and gather whatever evidence he could find connecting them to the fraudulent loan. While waiting for Maxwell's report, I searched Rachel's social media accounts. There it was, posted just a week ago, a photo of Rachel standing proudly in front of 1542 Lakeview Terrace. Captioned, "Dreams do come true. Far new home fi blessed." The comments section overflowed with congratulations and questions about how they could afford such a magnificent house. Rachel's reply to one comment made my blood boil. Hard work and smart financial planning pay off. Fi deserved. I scrolled through more photos. Rachel showing off the gourmet kitchen, Brandon grilling on the expansive deck. Selfies in front of the marble fireplace. They were living in a house purchased with my stolen identity, flaunting it publicly while I faced financial ruin. The formal housewarming invitation arrived in my mailbox that afternoon's an elegant card with gold embossing. Inside Rachel had written, "Can't wait to show you our new place. You're gonna be so jealous. Love you, sis." That evening, my parents came over after I insisted we needed to talk in person. They sat uncomfortably on my couch as I paced the small living room. "Did you help Rachel and Brandon buy their new house?" I asked directly. They exchanged glances. "No honey," my father answered. "We couldn't afford to. You know our retirement isn't that substantial." "Ew. Then how do you think they afforded an 800,000 house in Lakeside Heights?" Brandon's company has been struggling since the pandemic, and Rachel hasn't held a steady job in years. My mother fidgeted with her wedding ring. Rachel said Brandon made some smart investments that paid off. We didn't ask for details. And you didn't find that suspicious? That suddenly they could afford a mansion. Amanda, my father said sternly, what are you implying? I took a deep breath and laid out everything: the fraudulent loan, the stolen identity, the credit cards, the investigation. As I spoke, my mother's face crumpled while my father's reddened with anger. There must be some mistake. My mother insisted. Rachel wouldn't do something like this. Like what, Mom? Like stealing my Barbie when I was 6. Like borrowing my clothes in high school. Like using my student ID in college. Like accidentally using my credit card. This is just Rachel doing what Rachel has always done. Taking what's mine, but on a much larger scale. My father stood up, his banker's mind processing the implications. If what you're saying is true, this is a federal crime. Rachel could go to prison. I know, Dad. My voice cracked. Do you think I want that? But what about me? My credit is ruined. I'm on the hook for nearly $1 million of debt. My entire future is destroyed because Rachel wanted a fancy house she couldn't afford. My mother began to cry. There has to be another explanation. Maybe Brandon did this without telling her. I laughed bitterly. Mom, you've been making excuses for Rachel our entire lives. When does it stop? They left, promising to talk to Rachel to get her side of the story. I knew it wouldn't help. Rachel would deny everything, cry, make them feel guilty for doubting her. The pattern was too ingrained to break. After they left, I collapsed on my bed, the weight of betrayal crushing my chest. Daniel came over, holding me as I alternated between tears and rage. I can't believe she would do this to me. I sobbed into his shoulder. My own sister. Does she hate me that much? Daniel stroked my hair gently. I don't think it's about hate, Amanda. Some people just feel entitled to things they haven't earned. They don't think about consequences because they've never really faced any. His words triggered a memory from when I was 12 and Rachel 15. She had taken my journal, reading my private thoughts aloud to her friends at a sleepover. When I confronted her, devastated by the invasion of privacy, she'd shrugged and said, "If you didn't want people to know, you shouldn't have written it down." No apology, no recognition of the pain she'd caused. Just a casual dismissal of my feelings. That night, as Daniel slept beside me, I stared at the ceiling wondering what my future held. My carefully constructed plans were in shambles. The down payment I'd saved might now go to legal fees. My perfect credit score, which I'd protected so diligently, was in ruins. The promotion I'd worked so hard for could be jeopardized if this affected my professional reputation. All because Rachel wanted a house she couldn't afford and decided mine was the financial identity she'd steal to get it. The next morning, Maxwell called with his preliminary findings. Brandon Phillips' development company is on the verge of bankruptcy, he reported. They've been living on credit cards for months. There's no way they qualified for that mortgage legitimately. What about the loan application? I asked. I'm still working on that, but I did find something interesting. Your sister's laptop was serviced at a repair shop last month. The technician remembers her asking how to use Photoshop to edit PDF documents. Another piece of the puzzle fell into place. Rachel had digitally altered my documents to create the fraudulent loan application. By Friday, 3 days after discovering the fraud, my emotions had crystallized from hurt to determination.